So there is this massive retail giant operating right now in over 30 countries.
Right. Globally.
Yeah, globally. And they are pulling in billions of dollars in revenue with nearly 5,000 storefronts worldwide.
Which is just a staggering footprint when you think about it.
It really is. But here's the crazy part. Unless you hold a very specific identification card, you have probably never stepped foot inside one.
No, most people haven't.
You've likely never even seen one from the outside.
Because it really is an invisible empire to the civilian world.
Exactly. And today's deep dive is all about this massive parallel ecosystem that traditional consumer brands completely overlook, mostly because, they just don't know how to unlock the front door. We are looking at AAFE, the military retail network.
And that oversight from civilian brands, it's a massive missed opportunity. Because this sector requires a fundamentally different and often highly lucrative approach to commerce.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission today is to outline the exact blueprint for getting a product onto the shelves of these military retailers.
Right, how to actually break in.
Yeah. And to do that, we are drawing from a highly detailed step-by-step guide published by Retailbound. It was authored by their president and founder, Johann Jacob.
Which is a great source, because Retailbound is a consultancy that specializes in launching brands across, over 150 different retailers?
Yep, over 150. And their guide on AAFES, it operates like this incredible masterclass in highly targeted, mission-driven retail.
And the phrase mission-driven is really the operative term here. This source material lays out a level of operational perfection that civilian retail just rarely demands up front.
Well, I was looking at the scale of this operation from the Retailbound guide, and the numbers are just staggering. So AAFES stands for the Army and Air Force Exchange Service.
Right.
And it is officially a Department of Defense organization. We are talking about more than 4,900 locations.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's not just a single type of store either.
No, it's highly varied.
This footprint includes the PX, so the post-exchange stores on Army bases, and the BX, which is the base exchange on Air Force installations.
But it goes beyond just the big box stores, right?
Oh, absolutely. It sweeps in convenience stores, fuel locations, specialty military apparel shops, massive food courts, and a global e-commerce platform called shopmyexchange.com.
But, the physical footprint is massive, but the most important differentiator isn't the size. It is the underlying financial structure.
How so?
Well, if you look at standard civilian retailers, they are legally and structurally bound to maximize corporate profit for their shareholders.
Right. They have to make money for the investors.
Exactly. But AAFES operates on a totally different mechanism. The revenue generated through these thousands of locations gets funneled directly back into military morale, welfare, and recreation programs.
Okay, so that's what people call MWR programs.
All right, MWR programs.
So let's focus on that mechanism for a second, because
Right.
understanding MWR, I feel like it changes the entire psychology of the transaction.
Oh, completely. It changes everything.
Because MWR programs fund the physical infrastructure of a military community. We are talking about base swimming pools, fitness centers, youth programs, and family support services.
Right, the stuff that makes a base actually livable.
Yeah. So if you are an active duty service member or a retiree, a veteran, a military spouse, and you're shopping at AFES, you aren't just engaging in a transaction.
You're doing something more.
When you buy a television or a pair of boots or even just a week's worth of groceries, a portion of that money directly funds your child's after-school program or, your base's gym.
What's fascinating here is that it creates a deeply entrenched, closed-loop ecosystem.
The closed loop, yeah.
The customer base, which is already highly organized and community-oriented, is essentially investing in their own quality of life every time they swipe a credit card.
Which naturally elevates their expectations of the brands allowed into that space.
Absolutely.
I keep thinking of AFES like a highly specialized, global, members-only club. It is similar to Costco, right?
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
But with this powerful, localized, philanthropic loop. And the guide notes that these consumers exhibit immense brand loyalty, but only once a product earns their trust.
Right. They know shelf space is limited, and they know it's designed to serve them.
So they don't take it lightly.
Because that shelf space represents their own community fund, they have zero tolerance for products that don't pull their weight. A brand cannot just dump its civilian catalog onto an AAFES buyer's desk and hope something catches their eye.
Yeah, that won't fly.
The ecosystem demands that a product be a perfect fit before an application is even considered.
And the Retailbound text actually breaks down this initial evaluation. It's a very strict litmus test.
Right. What are the criteria?
Well, products must deliver exceptional quality, everyday utility, and competitive pricing. The source explicitly advises brands to study shopmyexchange.com to identify existing market gaps.
So you have to do your homework first.
Yeah, you have to ask, does your product offer a unique feature not currently available? Does it solve a problem better than the established competitors? Can you offer better margins?
Right.
But I actually have to push back on this terminology for a moment.
Okay, why?
Because if we read the words exceptional quality, everyday utility, and competitive pricing, I mean, that sounds like the exact same generic corporate mandate you would hear at a pitch meeting for Target or Walmart.
It sounds like standard retail jargon. Right.
Exactly. So what makes the military standard for those qualities mechanically different from a civilian big box store?
Well, that is the critical distinction. On paper, those words look identical. But in the physical reality of the military consumer, they mean something entirely different.
Okay, unpack that for me.
We are talking about a demographic living a highly transient, physically demanding lifestyle.
Right.
Everyday utility to a civilian might mean a blender that survives daily smoothies in a suburban kitchen.
Sure.
But to a military family going through a PCS, a permanent change of station every 2 to 3 years, utility means something else.
Right, they move constantly.
Exactly. It means that blender has to survive being packed, shipped halfway across the world, thrown into temporary housing, and unpacked over and over again without cracking.
Oh, wow, yeah. That is a totally different standard.
And consider the active duty side. A ruggedized phone case or a tactical flashlight in civilian life might just get dropped on a sidewalk.
Or like fall out of a car.
Right. But in the military ecosystem, that gear is going into the field. It is subjected to extreme temperatures, moisture, and intense physical shock.
Which means product failure is not merely an annoyance that results in, a customer return.
No, it's much bigger than that.
In the military ecosystem, product failure breaks trust instantly. Like a broken zipper on a rucksack or a shattered casing on a piece of electronics compromises efficiency in high-stress environments.
Exactly. If your product doesn't genuinely hold up, the community will reject it, word of mouth will spread rapidly, and the buyer will just pull it from the shelves.
That high-stakes environment is exactly why the vendor application isn't just a basic intake form, right?
Oh, it's not at all.
It's an absolute interrogation of your entire supply chain.
Yeah, it really is a gauntlet.
So the guide refers to the actual application process, and it outlines a strict 3-step procedure just to be considered.
Let's hear it.
Step 1 is straightforward enough. You register via the official AAFES vendor portal.
Okay, makes sense.
You submit your company information, your product catalog, basic sales and distribution data, and contact info. It is basically the virtual handshake.
Right. But step 2 is where the civilian manufacturing mindset usually hits a massive wall.
Oh yeah, the vendor consideration process.
The sheer volume of highly specific data required here is intense, and the guide includes a blunt warning that accuracy is paramount.
I was reading the data requirements for step 2, and it feels less like a retail application and more like trying to integrate a new piece of software into an incredibly old, massive computer system.
Yes.
I mean, doing this step feels like doing your taxes while defusing a bomb.
That's a very stressful analogy, but it's accurate.
You have to provide wholesale pricing, suggested retail pricing, all UPC codes, precise case pack information, country of origin, and exact shipping dimensions down to the fraction of an inch.
Right, down to the fraction.
And if one single line of data, like a shipping weight, is formatted wrong, the whole system just rejects it.
This raises an important question, though, right? Why are they so strict about a fraction of an inch?
Yeah, why?
The mechanism behind that strictness comes down to scale and distance. Think about a civilian error. Let's say a manufacturer gets a shipping dimension wrong by an inch.
Okay.
In the civilian world, maybe a delivery truck fits 40 fewer boxes than planned. It's annoying. The logistics manager makes an angry phone call, and you pay a small fee.
Right. It's a headache, but you fix it.
But in the AAFES ecosystem, that same incorrect inch means a pallet of your product suddenly doesn't fit into the cargo hold of a C-130 transport plane headed to a remote base in the Pacific.
Oh my God.
Yeah, your typo just disrupted a global military supply chain.
That paints a terrifying picture for a logistics coordinator.
It really does.
And it perfectly explains step 3, the buyer evaluation. After you submit this flawless data packet, The category buyer takes over.
Okay.
They evaluate consumer demand, the competitive landscape, category fit, and your supply chain capabilities. And Retailbound highlights that this review cycle is noticeably slower than traditional retail.
And they have to be slow. The buyers are methodical because they have to protect that closed-loop system we talked about.
Right, the MWR funds.
They cannot afford to introduce a product that will cause the logistical failures we just described, or worse, betray the trust of the community that relies on those funds.
So if you are listening to this as an entrepreneur or a supply chain manager, you might think getting through those 3 steps is the hardest part.
Well, you would think so.
But the guide makes it very clear that surviving the initial application is just the preamble. The actual operational compliance standards are where many brands completely wash out.
Yes, navigating the federal red tape is arguably the most complex hurdle here,
It's intense.
because this is where crossing over into government-adjacent retail becomes highly technical. The regulatory hurdles are dictated by federal law, not just a corporate policy.
Let's break down the specific regulations the source mentions. First is the Berry Amendment.
Right.
And this isn't just a friendly suggestion to buy American. It is a statutory requirement that dictates the Department of Defense must procure certain goods, specifically things like food, clothing, fabrics, and specialized metals that are 100% domestically produced.
And the mechanism of the Berry Amendment forces a manufacturer to audit their entire supply chain,
Meaning?
meaning you cannot simply assemble a backpack in Ohio and call it compliant.
Oh, because the materials came from somewhere else.
Exactly. You have to prove that the fabric, the thread, and even the zippers were manufactured in the United States.
Wow, even the thread. Okay, the guide also points to the Trade Agreements Act, or TAA.
Right, TAA.
If your product falls under TAA regulations, it means your final product must be manufactured or substantially transformed in the United States or a specific designated country that has a trade agreement with the U.S.
So you can't just source from non-compliant nations if you want to sell into certain government channels.
Right.
And combining those sourcing laws with the physical packaging requirements creates a massive barrier to entry.
Oh, yeah, the packaging.
Your packaging has to withstand those extended, complex shipping conditions like that C-130 cargo plane we mentioned, while meeting all of AAFES' specialized shipping guidelines.
And then, on top of all the physical stuff, there is the technological infrastructure. The guide states that AAFES mandates the use of EDI electronic data interchange.
Yep, EDI.
And if a brand doesn't have this, they have to hire a third-party provider to build it out.
Because EDI acts as the automated nervous system for logistics.
Okay, how does it work?
Well, instead of a human being emailing an invoice or a purchase order, EDI allows the AAFES computer system to talk directly to your company's computer system.
Got it.
It automates purchase orders, invoices, advanced shipping notices, and order tracking. It removes the human error.
I want to pause here for a second, because if you are a mid-sized consumer brand looking for growth, looking at this list of requirements is daunting.
It is incredibly intimidating.
You have to potentially remap your Tier 2 suppliers to meet the Berry Amendment. You have to redesign your physical packaging for global military transport, and you have to implement a complex automated EDI software system.
Right.
That is a massive upfront investment of capital and time. So is the payoff of getting into AAFES truly worth that level of corporate overhaul?
Well, when you look at the downstream effects, it absolutely is.
Really?
Yes, because implementing EDI, auditing your country of origin sourcing, and ruggedizing your logistics doesn't just win you a spot on a military base.
What else does it do?
It forces your company to achieve a level of operational excellence that upgrades your entire business.
Oh, I see. So if your packaging is tough enough to survive the military supply chain, your civilian returns due to shipping damage are going to just plummet.
Exactly.
And if your tech stack is integrated enough to handle EDI with AAEs, your operations with civilian giants like Target or Kroger are suddenly going to run flawlessly.
It acts as an ultimate stress test. You are essentially future-proofing your supply chain.
Okay, let's fast forward. Let's say you've audited the supply chain, you've integrated the EDI, you've survived that slow buyer evaluation, and you are officially an approved AAFES vendor.
Congratulations, right?
Right. The product is hitting the shelves. But according to Johann Jacob and Retailbound, approval is just the starting line.
Yeah, the real work begins now.
Now you have to actually drive sell-through and win the shelf over the long term.
And winning the shelf in a military exchange requires significant foresight. You have to execute simultaneously in-store and online.
The in-store strategies detailed in the guide rely heavily on calendar management. Brands need to work with buyers to secure end cap displays and feature placements, particularly around military-themed events.
Right, but you can't just pitch a 4th of July display in June
No, these promotional calendars are locked in months and months in advance.
because the logistics of global distribution require that kind of lead time. And while you manage that physical space, you also have to aggressively optimize your digital presence.
ShopMyExchange.com.
Exactly. It's a massive platform, and brands need to treat it with the exact same rigor they apply to, say, an Amazon listing.
The text actually lists the tactics for that digital optimization. So you need SEO-friendly product titles, keyword-rich descriptions, high-resolution imagery, and you need to generate positive customer reviews from the military community itself.
Which goes back to trust.
Right. And beyond the digital and physical merchandising, the source highlights a critical relationship component. They suggest attending military retail trade shows to meet category buyers face-to-face.
Which is always good advice.
And they also highly recommend partnering with specialized military retail brokers or consultants like Retailbound themselves to help navigate the complex landscape, manage the EDI relationships, and position the product correctly.
And that makes sense. A broker or consultant who already speaks the language of military retail can prevent those catastrophic errors we discussed earlier.
There is a section toward the end of the guide regarding common mistakes that brands make once they are on the shelf, specifically concerning how they build a relationship with the military consumer.
Okay, what do they warn about?
Well, the guide warns against weak logistics, like late shipments, which we know causes global supply chain chaos. It warns against uncompetitive pricing,
Sure.
but it also gives advice on connecting authentically. It suggests initiatives like military appreciation programs, authentic brand storytelling, and partnerships with veteran organizations.
Right.
I want to examine this closely, though. How does a purely civilian brand suddenly start promoting military appreciation without looking incredibly opportunistic to a highly perceptive audience?
Well, the text includes a very explicit warning about exactly that trap.
Oh, they do?
Yes. The military community is highly attuned to authenticity, and they will immediately spot performative marketing. Avoiding the opportunistic label requires understanding the difference between marketing and structural investment.
So slapping a camouflage pattern on your packaging right before Veterans Day, that is performative marketing.
It is, and honestly, it often backfires.
Wow.
Authentic connection requires long-term commitment. It means establishing structural partnerships with legitimate veteran organizations year-round, not just in November.
That makes a lot of sense.
It means implementing real, substantive military family support programs or hiring initiatives within your own company. The military consumer rewards brands that genuinely support the community's infrastructure, not brands that just pandered to them for a quick seasonal sales bump.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener who wants to tap into this market? If we zoom out and look at the entire roadmap Johann Jacob outlines, AAFES is a highly lucrative, globally distributed retail channel.
Unbelievably lucrative.
It offers access to an incredibly loyal, community-driven consumer base. But the gates to this channel are heavily fortified by federal regulation, strict logistical requirements, and a demand for absolute authenticity.
But, for brands prepared to invest the time and capital into this specialized process, it offers unparalleled sustainable growth.
Right.
But patience and a willingness to conform your operational standards to their rigorous demands, well, those are non-negotiable.
You aren't just distributing a product. You are serving a distinct global community, and you have to prove your operational worth to earn a spot on their shelves.
Absolutely.
I want to leave you with a thought to mull over, something that builds on the very foundation of this entire deep dive.
Okay.
We've explored the mechanics of the AAFES model, how the profits from every transaction directly fund community recreation, morale, and welfare programs on military bases.
Right, the MWR programs.
It is a closed loop of hyper-local community investment. So imagine for a second if traditional civilian retail giants adopted a version of this model.
Oh, that's interesting.
What if, when you shopped at your local Walmart or Target, a dedicated percentage of your receipt didn't go to corporate shareholders, but directly funded your specific town's parks, your local public schools, or your neighborhood community center?
That would change everything.
How would that tangible community impact shift your brand loyalty? And how would a mission-driven model like that completely reshape the future of brick-and-mortar retail in our own neighborhoods? Let that simmer.